Boy, we got some legends coming up on WLS's playlist. Gene Pitney, Tony Bennett, of course, the British Invasion, Lawrence Welk. Yes, you heard right, Lawrence Welk. Along with the British Invasion, Peter and Gordon, the Kinks and Motown, the Supremes. We got the Zombies, but right now at number 26, down 4 notches from 22, a rock and roll legend. The guy could sing like an angel. Roy Orbison. Goodnight. Lost 45. Almost made it, but not quite made it to the top 20. Spring 1965. Guy could sing like an angel. Probably in the afterlife he's singing with the angels right now. Very talented guy. Roy Orbison. Sun Records had that hit Ooby Dooby back in 1956, but Monument Records, that was it. He had his biggest hits when he signed with Monument Records. Between 1960 through 64, he had about 9 top 10 hits. Dream Baby, Mean Woman Blues, remember that one? Ooh, boy, he was laying it down on that one, laying down the smack. Roy Orbison. Crying, another big one for Roy Orbison. Pretty Woman was his last top 10. Went to number 1. He made the most out of that one back in the summer of 1964. And then it was downhill. The song Goodnight on WLS's survey at number 26, down from 22 the previous week, would be among his last recordings for the Monument record label. Roy Orbison got $1 million deal. I believe it was $1 million deal with MGM Records, with the understanding that he will branch out into television, into movies like Elvis. The only problem with that was, even though Roy Orbison was a stellar singer, he didn't have Elvis Presley's looks. But that wasn't why he didn't do as well when he got on MGM. A lot of people blamed the change in recording venue, a new producer and all that. Well, whatever happened, his hits, well, I wouldn't say it dried up, but he wasn't hitting the top 10 like he did back in the early 60s. Right Away was another hit that he had back in 65. It was about his love for motorcycles, and boy, he collected. Roy Orbison was into machines, into motorcycles. He got his wife into motorcycles, Claudette. It was extremely beautiful woman. He got her into motorcycles. Roy Orbison was known to have tailed somebody at a car. Well, tailed somebody who was driving a car that he really wanted. And he pulled the guy over and he asked, hey, how much would you like to sell that car for? I mean, it's the stuff of millionaires. It's the stuff of pop stars. It's the stuff of rock stars. You run into these stories like this all the time. But not only was he not hitting the top 10, not only were his hits not quite as huge as they were, Roy Orbison had some massive personal tragedy. I don't know if you know about this. His wife Claudette, mentioned before that he got her into motorcycles. She was killed. And I take it they were on a motorcycle. Her and Roy Orbison were on a motorcycle when they were hit by a semi-trailer truck. I believe it was a semi-trailer. And she died instantly. Kind of hate to say this to make it even more gruesome, but I read in a book I read about Roy Orbison that his wife was decapitated. This was horrible. He grieved. Oh, it doesn't end there for Roy Orbison. 2 of his sons died in a house fire in 1968. Now, that didn't hit Roy Orbison so hard as I read in his biography, and this was years ago. This was about back in the late 90s, I think, when I read it. Didn't hit Roy Orbison as hard because he was always on tour. So he didn't get to see his children as much, but still, I mean, what can I say? You're scarred either way. When you lose members of your family and so tragically like that. Goodnight, another pretty song by Roy Orbison with an upbeat to it. Kind of reminds me of a little bit like maybe Only the Lonely or Sweet Dreams, something like that. It is Goodnight, Roy Orbison, Monument record label, WLS, Silver Dollar Survey at number 26 the week of March 5th, 1965.